So the question is, when you have only the budget to buy a PVS-14, whether you're gonna run it bridged with thermal or even just on its own, which eye should you place that PVS-14 on? If you guys weren't so freaking poor, you just buy Binos. Okay, joking aside, that was mean. I actually don't mean that at all. If you guys know us, you know that's not our mindset at all. We're not over here bashing people for their decisions, what units they're running. However, there is a valuable topic, I think, of whether or not the PVS-14 should go over your left eye and your right eye, or your right eye, I should say. So, Ethan, when we're looking at a thermal bridge setup, and I know there's no black and white answer. I know people are gonna be pretty upset because we're probably gonna end up with it depends. So like cut to the end of the video, it depends. But if they...
Do you wear Depends?
You weren't supposed to tell them about that. Like we agreed. At the end of the day, you said you wouldn't bring up the Depends.
Sorry.
So which eye should you put the PVS-14 over? I was gonna pass this off to Ethan to start. Now I'm gonna start and I'm gonna give you my 2 cents. So if I'm looking at purely a training standpoint, typically what I like to do is put my PVS-14 over my dominant eye. So that is the eye that I would see a laser through quickly. It's the eye that I would be able to passively aim through a red dot with. I'm going to position that PVS-14 over that dominant eye. Now in the past, there were a lot of people that kind of made the argument that you could put it over your left eye and overlay the dot because of science. I played around with that a lot and it just doesn't work. So if I want to put something over my left eye, I'm just freaking running Binos. Like at the end of the day, I'm just gonna run my PD Pros and not have to mess with any of it. But if I have to run PVS-14s, and I do love running my PVS-14, I will run it over my dominant eye personally because it is a more intuitive experience with whatever aiming device I am currently using, whether that's red dot, laser, or driving or doing anything like that. But Ethan, you have a little bit different world with hunting. I'm curious, do you agree with me in your particular sense, or are there some variations?
In my particular setup, I am running the PVS-14 over my dominant eye, and it is so I do have the option to shoot passively with a red dot. Now there are a lot of people within the tactical community that back in the day were trained to specifically put the PVS-14 over their non-dominant eye so that if they had to, they could hit a white light and shoot with the dominant eye. So there's a lot of different ways to think about this, and again, it depends. I don't know that there's a right or a wrong answer, but personally speaking, I'm running it over my dominant eye.
And the thing that I've noticed when we're out in the wilderness hunting coyotes or foxes or whatever it might be, and we're running a bridged thermal unit with a PVS-14, often that PVS-14 comes in handy when we're navigating, when we're walking into our set. And then once you're there, popping either the PVS-14 off the bridge entirely or simply rotating it up out into its stowed position gives you the ability to use and rely on that thermal monocular, because that's ultimately what you need most in that situation when you're scanning for predators. Then when it's time to walk back out of your set, get back to your vehicle, you could strap that PVS-14 back into place. So there's this give and take, and it really does depend on what you're doing. I think a lot of people get kind of trapped in the nuances, and at the end of the day, the cool thing if you buy a PVS-14 is you can play with either one.
Yeah, do whatever you want, man.
You can strap it over your left eye and play with science if you like. You can, whatever, put it over your dominant eye and play around with it. In fact, I think it would be foolish of us to sit here and say, you must do it this way all the time, because we don't know whether you're cross-eye dominant, we don't know what your situation is, we don't know what your end use and your end goals are.
You could be left-handed and left-eye dominant, and then if you want to run like us, you'd have the PVS-14 over your left eye.
So there's lots of variations, and it really does depend, and I feel bad sometimes with these videos when we're answering specific questions and we cannot give you a black and white answer. But at the end of the day, I would recommend highly that if you're set on buying a PVS-14, whether it's getting bridged with a thermal or not, play around with that mount. You can flip it between your left and right eye. Get used to it. Put some time out in the field and find out for yourself which method is best for you. And that's the only way that you're going to determine how to run your PVS-14 best for yourself. So is there anything else to add for that?
Nope, that's a wrap.
Appreciate you guys. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Catch you guys in the next video. Freaking told him about my Depends, prick.
I didn't tell him shit. I asked you, do you wear Depends?
Yeah, but you did it in front of the camera. Now I'm sitting here wondering if they're making noise. You're not supposed... Oh, man. Bro code. Like, we left the bro code out of the chat.